slightly underweight China. It's almost, I think, a broad consensus across the market that the Chinese economy is on a very slow growth path going forward, certainly relative to recent years, and that's not going to change.
Have you given up on China?
So I'm about to say no. But I think that over the last, say, year to 18 months, that's become the sort of consensus view. We haven't given up on China, and not necessarily because of a difference of view on the economic outlook. I mean, we do think that the housing market, the real estate market overhang is going to take many years to roll out, short of some very drastic government action, which looks unlikely. But we would also note that over long periods of time, GDP does not correlate with markets, and that markets perform on the basis of improving earnings trends and ROEs and various other things, equity markets, which can diverge from GDP trends quite easily, depending on the market structures that are there. And although it's early days, and I wouldn't suggest that we're about to see some miracle in the Chinese market in the short term, there are some signs that, at least in some areas, the Chinese, at the industry level, are beginning to look to more efficiency, returning a bit more money to shareholders, not just expanding and building capacity. Now, there are still some areas where that's not the case, and particularly some areas where the government is quite keen for capacity to continue to be expanded. But certainly, the idea that you should give up on China, that there won't be any opportunities available over the next several years, I think is not right. There is, of course, some geopolitical risk.
Yeah.
You asked earlier about whether geopolitics matter. I mean, it doesn't until it does. And of course, if, for instance, Trump wins and puts in a 60% tariff on China and 10% on everyone else, then I think that would matter.
They go through Mexico, Vietnam.
Ways will be found around it over time, but it will certainly generate policy responses and generate a lot of movement in the markets in the short term. Yeah. And there are some small possibilities that the US-China relations get so bad that you end up with some sort of almost Cold War-like, capital freezing.
Yeah, although I think we are in the Cold War somehow, somewhat.
But we have not got to a stage where capital is frozen completely. So those are risks.